Welcome back everybody to my first video on this channel. Today we're going to be talking about Diluc, specifically talking about the Genshin TCG. You could also call it the Genius Invocation trading card game. If you call it that, you're an NPC, because every NPC does that. They pronounce the full name. They don't call it Invocation. They don't call it Genius Invocation. It's always Genius Invocation TCG, because we don't want to mix it up with Genius Invocation, right? That the MOBA, right? And today we're going to be talking about Diluc, right? Diluc is very similar to Genshin outside of this card game, where he acts as the main DPS, right? But I think his built-in potential for spam sort of is misused in a way. So today we're going to be talking about how I feel like we should use them. We're not going to go into any sort of deck ideas or anything. It's just going to be talking. We're just going to be talking. So first let's talk about the actual kit. Diluc's kit is very simple in my eyes. Most characters deal 2 physical damage with their normal attack. They do 3 damage of their respective element for their elemental skill, and for their elemental burst, it tends to be a bit wishy-washy. Now with Diluc, it's very similar, except for a little buff on his Searing Onslaught, which allows him to deal +2 damage on your 3rd use. So if you're using this move 3 times, you'll be doing a total of 11 damage instead of 9. Is that really that strong? Not really. It's very difficult to get 3 Searing Onslaughts, which I think is the problem with Diluc. You don't want to have him stay in the entire time, right? Because otherwise he takes too much damage and he dies. The meta right now is very focused on these quick elemental reactions, right? For example, Yoimiya, Ayaka. They both deal very light damage, but because you're doing 2 damage with every attack, for each elemental reaction on top of the damage you're already doing, I think you're doing about 5 damage every attack. It allows you to really pop off, because it's not really about how strong your attacks are, it's about how many times you can use them. So Diluc sort of falls apart in this case, but we can make it work. The biggest part here has to be the elemental burst. I don't think there's any other character that does this much damage. I thought this would be normal. Not really, no. There are some characters that are meant to deal high damage, such as cards like Mona, which doubles the damage after your burst, but that's different, right? Dawn is really strong because you're able to deal 10 damage with Vaporize or Melt. So if you use it with Cryo or Hydro, you're able to do a lot of damage, and it usually one-shots if they don't have a shield, if they don't have a Lotus Crisp up. It's really nice. You also get Pyro Infusion. Now, Pyro Infusion is pretty basic. It turns your physical damage into pyro damage. So now your Tempered Sword, aka your normal attack, is doing 2 pyro damage instead of 2 physical. Also, just in case you're confused, the White Flame is for Unaligned Energy, which is for any elemental die. For the electricity symbol, that is for energy. Every attack you use, you gain an energy, just in case you were confused. Now let's go ahead and talk about his talent. So the talent is a separate card that you get from other objectives from beating them, and it's a separate card in your deck. When you play it, it acts like equipment, but it'll also take up a turn. It'll play an attack for you. Now, some cards will focus on the elemental skill, some will focus on the elemental burst. In this scenario, Flowing Flame uses Searing Onslaught, which is our elemental skill. You can see that it costs only 3 pyro energy. Sometimes it will cost 4 of a specific energy type. Sometimes it'll cost the same amount. Sometimes it'll cost the same amount for ultimates. Sometimes it'll cost 1 more. It really does depend. Here I can understand why. So let's go ahead and talk about it. It's the same thing as Searing Onslaught, except it gives you a buff where the second time you use Searing Onslaught in a given round, it'll cost 1 less pyro die. So what this means is that if you want to attack 3 times with Searing Onslaught, you will now need 8 die instead of 9. Now this is really good. Because you don't need to get extra dice in order to pop off with your 3 uses of Searing Onslaught. The only issue I have with it is that it's very difficult to elementally tune large amounts of dice. It doesn't really happen. We have the Bestest Travel Companion that turns two elemental dice into omni elements, and that's good, but two isn't enough, right? You're looking at 8 pyro die. That's not very consistent. So let's go ahead and talk about what I think Diluc is good for and what synergizes with it. Now, something to keep in mind are elemental reactions. They're very, very powerful. Like I discussed before, elemental reactions are the forefront of this game, which I think is very similar to the game outside of the TCG. I don't know. I don't really play the game. I just play the trading card game because I love it. So you're going to be focusing a lot on elemental reactions when it comes to building your deck. Interestingly enough, Anemo actually works fairly well. The reason is, after you take a big hit, you tend to want to swap, right? If we're looking at how much a normal elemental reaction will do, it's usually +2 damage with Pyro, right? The other 3 elements like Geo, Anemo, and Dendro, it's kind of different. I haven't looked into Dendro because I don't have Kalai or Kole or whatever the fuck you want to call her. I don't know what she's called. But Anemo and Geo, they all have the same results. The point is, right? Usually with half of the elemental reactions, you're going to be dealing 5 damage with a Searing Onslaught, right? That's a lot. And if you use the swirl reaction, which is how Anemo works, using Anemo on, for example, a Hydro afflicted enemy, you hit them with Anemo damage. Now everyone except all the enemies except for that enemy that you hit will take 1 Hydro damage. That's pretty huge. Especially if you go Pyro into Anemo, then pop off on a bunch of Hydro afflicted enemies, and now they're taking Pyro damage, and then they get vaporized off of that. That doesn't happen too often, I'm going to be honest. You're probably not going to be using Anemo too much. I haven't found like any specific characters that are like great with Anemo damage dealing, right? But Anemo works really great for that, because if you swap, you're going into another +2 damage attack, right? And on top of that, Dawn deals 8 damage. Like I said before, 8 + 2 is 10. So if you're proccing off of a Vaporize or a Melt, that is a one-shot, which is very strong. Now the problem with Diluc, like I said before, is that you don't really want to spam Searing Onslaught, mainly because you're not really able to. Staying in also makes you take a lot of damage, and that's not very nice. So what exactly are we looking for? Now, as you can see, the 3 characters on the bottom, this is exactly what we're looking for. So first let's talk about Xingqiu. Apparently it's called Xingqiu, something like that. I speak Chinese, so that's the best I can do, but yeah. Basically Xingqiu, his ult is mainly the forefront here. Basically every single time you attack with any character, you will deal 2 Hydro damage after the fact. You can use this 3 times. So essentially what you're doing is you attack for 3 Pyro damage, you apply the 2 Hydro damage, and then you get 2 more off of the Vaporize. That's 7 damage, which is a lot. It's very synergistic. Also, Xingqiu's ult, I believe, is, I think, 3 Hydro and 2 energy. I know it's 2 energy. I don't know if it's 3 Hydro die or 4. I'll have to look into it because I honestly forgot. I think it's Magu Kenki. I actually do not have this card, but I think his kit is interesting enough to talk about it. You see, he is the only character in the entire game, to my knowledge, that can apply Anemo and Cryo. Now that's huge, right? We're looking for Cryo, we're looking for Anemo, right? We want both of those things. And if you can pop off with chilling with Anemo, and then applying Cryo and then applying Anemo, now everyone has Cryo. Or you can go Pyro into Animo. Now Mago Kenki has two summons, I think, for both of his attacks. Um, I actually forget his entire kit, but I'm not going to get into it too much. But basically, he has two summons, and they both either deal one Animo damage or one Cryo damage, and that is very nice. I think it's a lot more consistent, and I think it works a lot better. They're both good. I can see Xingqiu working with Mago Kenki actually, because Freeze is also pretty prominent at the moment. But yeah, and lastly we have Kaya. Now Kaya is it's a basic combo. I think the biggest issue with it is that you're not really able to pop off because you attack and nothing happens. You have to swap and then attack, right? So off the top of my head here, I think it's 3 uses every time you swap, or is it 2 uses? I don't remember. But essentially, you're swapping and then you're attacking, and that's like 5 damage, right? And that's just from the reaction. I'm pretty sure it does 2 cryo damage when you swap, so that's actually 7 damage in total, similar to Xingqiu. Would I recommend Kaya Diluc? Kind of. They do use that as the starter deck, I believe, and that's kind of, I guess that's like intended. I think it's okay, but I think sticking to Xingqiu, Magu Kenki, those two are both really strong. There are some other ones to keep in mind, like Official, very consistent. The only reason I picked Magu Kenki was because having both of those elements is really nice, I think. And also, he's really special. I haven't seen anyone use him because I don't have him. He's late game. He's like level 8, 9 or something. I don't even remember. But he's pretty difficult to get because I don't have Inazuma. I don't have Inazuma unlocked, so I can't fight with the NPCs there, and it's really sad. I don't know if you can go to Sumeru for the... You probably can. I don't know. But, yeah, that's gonna do it for today's video. I am hoping to create a beginner's guide. I might not. I don't really like to. I definitely want to do more character analyses. It depends on how much traction this gets. I'm definitely okay with just making these with like no views whatsoever because it is a new channel. But you know, if you're watching, I hope you enjoyed. I'd love to get some feedback because I tend to not spend as much time on slides like these. They tend to be aerial, white background. It's just me talking. There's no pictures, and it's just text. And that was my editing style for a long time. And I hate using editing softwares. It's really annoying and it takes a long time. So I don't really like them, but if you like them, let me know. If you don't like them, also let me know. Thank you. Have a good day. And also, today we're going to be updating on me playing Genshin. Okay? I'm level 5. I hate this game. Alright? Y'all really want me to go to Inazuma. For why exactly? I don't understand. I have to go to Inazuma to fight the NPCs there. Why can't I just farm off of the NPCs that I'm already fighting? It doesn't make any sense and I'm gonna cry. But I guess it makes sense because like you have to get to AR32 to even unlock the card game mode in the first place, which is really annoying. Luckily for me, I was like AR31 or some shit. And yeah, I've been enjoying the card game though. Too bad PvP doesn't have any rewards, which I guess it would kind of suck if there was, because then people would farm the shit out of that, and also people would probably run meta more often. But people are running meta anyway, so I'm already pissed. But yeah, have a good day, guys. Did I say that right? Yeah, I did.